Corpus Hermeticum, Chapter 12, about the common mind. The mind, O taught, is of God's very essence, if such a thing as essence of God there be. And what that is, it and only it knows precisely. The mind, then, is not separated off from God's essentiality, but is united unto it, as light to sun. This mind in men is God, and for this cause some of mankind are gods, and their humanity is nigh unto divinity. For the good demon said, Gods are immortal men, and men are mortal gods. But in irrational lives mind is their nature. For where is soul, there too is mind. Just as where life, there is there also soul. But in irrational lives their soul is devoid of mind. For mind is the inworker of the souls of men for good. He works on them for their own good. In lives irrational, he doth cooperate with each one's nature, but in the souls of men he counteracteth them. For every soul, when it becomes embodied, is instantly depraved by pleasure and by pain. For in a compound body just like juices, pain and pleasure seethe, and into them the soul, on entering it, is plunged. Over whatsoever souls the mind doth then preside, to these it showeth its own light, by acting counter to their prepossessions, just as a good physician doth upon the body prepossessed by sickness, pain inflict, burning or lancing it for the sake of health. In just the self-same way the mind inflicteth pain upon the soul, to rescue it from pleasure, whence comes its every ill. The great ill of the soul is godlessness. Then followeth fancy for all evil things and nothing good. And so then, mind counteracting it, doth work good on the soul, as the physician health upon the body. But whatsoever human souls have not the mind as pilot, they share in the same fate as souls of lives irrational. For mind becomes co-worker with them, giving full play to the desires towards which such souls are born. Desires that from the rush of lust strain after the irrational, so that such human souls, just like irrational animals, cease not irrationally to rage and lust, nor ever are they satiate of ills. For passions and irrational desires are ills exceedingly great, and over these God hath set up the mind to play the part of judge and executioner. In that case, Father of mine, the teaching logos as to fate, which previously you did explain to me, risks to be overset. For that if it be absolutely fated for a man to fornicate, or commit sacrilege, or do some other evil deed, why is he punished, when he hath done the deed from fate's necessity? All works, my son, are fate's, and without fate naught of things corporal, or good or ill can come to pass. But it is fated too, that he who doeth ill shall suffer, and for this cause he doth it, that he may suffer what he suffereth, because he did it. But for the moment taught, let be the teachings as to vice and fate, for we have spoken of these things in other of our sermons, but now our teaching is about the mind, what mind can do, and how it is so different, in men being such and such, and in irrational lives so changed. And then again, that in irrational lives it is not of a beneficial nature, but while the mind is in men, it quencheth out the wrathful and the lustful elements. Of men again, we must class some as led by reason, and others as unreasoning. But all men are subject to fate, and genesis and change, for these are the beginning and the end of fate. And though all men do suffer fated things, those led by reason, those whom we said the mind doth guide, do not endure like suffering with the rest, but since they have freed themselves from viciousness, not being bad, they do not suffer bad. How meanest thou again, my father? Is not the fornicator bad, the murderer bad, and so with all the rest? I meant not that, but that the mind-led man, my son, though not a fornicator, will suffer just as though he had committed fornication, and though he be no murderer, as though he has committed murder. The quality of change he can no more escape than that of Genesis, but it is possible for one who hath the mind to free himself from vice. Wherefore I have ever heard, my son, the good demon also says, and had he set it down in written words, he would have greatly helped the race of men. For he alone, my son, doth truly, as the firstborn God, gazing upon all things, give voice to words. Yea, once I heard him say, all things are one, and most of all the bodies which the mind alone perceives. Our life is owing to God's energy and power and aeon. His mind is good, so is his soul as well. And this being so, intelligible things know not of separation. So then, mind, being ruler of all things, and being the soul of God, can do whatever it wills. So do thou understand, and carry back this word unto the question thou did ask me before. I mean about the mind's fate. For if thou dost with accuracy, son, eliminate all capitious arguments, thou wilt discover that of very truth the mind, the soul of God, doth rule over all, over fate and law, and all things else, and nothing is impossible to it, neither over fate to set a human soul, nor under fate to set a soul neglectful of what comes to pass. Let this so far suffice from the good Damon's most good words. Yea, words divinely spoken, my father, truly and helpfully. But further still, explain to me this. Thou said that mind and lives irrational worked in them as their nature, co-working with their impulses. But impulses of lives irrational, as I do think, are passions. Now, if the mind co-works with these impulses, and if the impulses of lives irrational are passions, then is mind also passion, taking its color from the passions? Well put, my son. Thou questionest right nobly, and it is just that I as well shall answer nobly. All things incorporeal, when in a body, are subject unto passion, and in the proper sense they are themselves all passions. For everything that moves another is incorporeal, while everything that is moved is in a body. Incorporeals are further moved by mind, and movement's passion. Both then are subject unto passion, both mover and the moved, the former being ruler and the latter being the ruled. But when a man hath freedom himself from his body, then is he also freed from his passions. But more precisely, my son, naught is impassible, but all are passable. Yet passion differeth from passibility, for that the one is active, while the other is passive. Incorporeals, moreover, act upon themselves, for either they are motionless or they are moved. But whichsoever it be, it is passion. But bodies are invariably acted upon, and therefore they are passible. Do not then let terms trouble thee. Action and passion are both the self-same thing. To use the fairest sounding term, however, does no harm. Most clearly have thee, father of mine, set forth this teaching. Consider this as well, my son, that these two things God hath bestowed on man beyond all mortal lives, both mind and speech, equal to immortality. He hath the mind for knowing God, and uttered speech for eulogy of him. And if one useth these for what he ought, he'll differ not a whit from the immortals. Nay, rather, on departing from the body, he will be guided by the twain unto the choir of gods and the blessed ones. Why, father of mine, do not the other lives make use of speech? Nay, son, but rather use of voice. Speech is far different from voice. For speech is general among all men, while voice doth differ in each class of living thing. But with men also, father of mine, according to each race speech differs. Yea, son, but man is one, so also speech is one, and is interpreted, and it is found the same in Egypt, and in Persia, and in Greece. Thou seemest, son, to be in ignorance of reason's worth and greatness. For that the blessed God, good Damon, hath declared, soul is in body, mind in soul. But reason is in mind, and mind in God, and God is the Father of all these. The reason, then, is the mind's image, and mind is God's image, while body is the image of the form, and form the image of the soul. The subtlest part of matter is, then, air, of air soul, of soul mind, and of mind God. And God surroundeth all, and permeateth all, while mind surrounds soul, soul air, air matter. Necessity and providence and nature are instruments of cosmos and of matter's ordering, while of intelligible things each is essence, and sameness is their essence. But of the bodies of the cosmos each is many, for through possessing sameness, these composed bodies, though they do change from one into another of themselves, do nathless ever keep the incorruption of their sameness. Whereas in all the rest of composed bodies, of each there is a certain number, for without number structure cannot be, or compositions, or decomposition. Now it is units that give birth to number and increase it, and being decomposed are taken back again into themselves. Matter is one, and this whole cosmos, the mighty God and image of the mightier one, both with him unified, and the conserver of the will and order of the Father, is filled full of life. Naught is there in it throughout the entire aeon, the Father's everlasting re-establishment, nor of the whole, nor of its parts, which doth not live. For not a single thing that is dead hath been, or is, or shall be in this cosmos. For that the Father willed it should have life as long as it should be, wherefore it needs must be a God. How then, O Son, could there be in the God, the image of the Father, in the plenitude of life, dead things? For that death is corruption, and corruption is destruction. How then could any part of that which knoweth no corruption be corrupted, or any whit of him the God destroyed? Do they not then, my Father, die, the lives in it that are its parts? Hush, son, led into error by the term in use for what takes place. They do not die, my son, but are dissolved as compound bodies. Now dissolution is not death, but dissolution of a compound. It is dissolved not so that it may be destroyed, but that it may become renewed. For what is the activity of life? Is it not motion? What then in the cosmos is there that has no motion? There is nothing without motion, son. Doth not earth even, my father, seem to thee to have no motion? Nay, son, but rather that she is the only thing which, though in very rapid motion, is also stable. For how would it not be a thing to laugh at, that the nurse of all should have no motion, when she engenders and brings forth all things? For it is impossible that without motion one who doth engender should do so. That thou should ask if the fourth part is not inert is most ridiculous, for that the body which doth have no motion gives sign of nothing but inertia. Know therefore generally, my son, that all that is in the cosmos is being moved for decrease or for increase. Now that which is kept moving also lives, but there is no necessity that that which lives should be all same. For being simultaneous, the cosmos as a whole is not subject to change, my son, but all of its parts are subject unto it, yet not of it is subject to corruption or destroyed. It is the terms that we use that confuse men, for it is not genesis that constitueth life, but it is sensation. It is not change that constitueth death, but it is forgetfulness. Since then these things are so, they are all immortal. Matter and life and spirit, mind and soul, of which whatever liveth is composed. Whatever then doth live, oweth its immortality unto the mind, and most of all doth man, he who is both recipient of God and coessential with him. For with this life alone doth God consort, by visions in the night, by tokens in the day, and by all things doth he foretell the future unto him, by birds, by inward parts, by wind, and by tree. Wherefore doth man lay claim to know things past, things present, and things to come? Observe this too, my son, that each one of the other lives inhabiteth one portion of the cosmos, aquatic creatures water, terrene earth, and airy creatures air, while man doth use all of these, earth, water, air, and fire. He seeth heaven too, and doth contact it with his sense. But God surroundeth all, and permeateth all. For he is energy and power, and it is nothing difficult, my son, to conceive God. But if thou wouldst him also contemplate, behold the ordering of the cosmos, and see the orderly behavior of its ordering. Behold thou the necessity of things made manifest, and see the providence of things become, and things becoming. Behold how matter is all full of life. Behold this so great God in movement, with all the good and noble ones, gods, daemons, and men. But these are purely energies, O Father of mine. If then they are purely energies, my son, by whom then are they energized except by God? Or art thou ignorant that just as heaven, earth, water, air are parts of the cosmos, in just the self-same way God's parts are life and immortality, and energy and spirit, and necessity and providence, and nature, soul and mind, and the duration of all these that is called good? And there is naught of things that have become, or are becoming, in which God is not. Is he also within matter, Father? Matter, my son, is separate from God, in order that thou may attribute unto it the quality of space. But what thing else than mass think thou it is, if it is not energized? Whereas, if it be energized, by whom is it made so? For energies, we said, are parts of God. By whom are then all lives enlivened? By whom are things immortal made immortal? And by whom changed things made changeable? And whether thou do speak of matter, or of body, or of essence, know that these two are energies of God, and that materiality is matter's energy, that corporeality is body's energy, and that essentiality doth constitute the energy of essence, and this is God, the All. And in the All is naught that is not God. Wherefore nor size, nor space, nor quality, nor form, nor time surroundeth God, for he is all, and all surroundeth all, and permeateth all. Unto this reason, Son, thy adoration and thy worship pay. There is one way alone to worship God. It is not to be bad.